Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is Jos Berry, taking you through the Eurovet evolution trends for summer 2022. Normally I do that in front of you all. Now you have to imagine that you're surrounded by all your colleagues and friends all over the world. It is a fantastic happening, but I miss your faces, that is for sure. We start with a new beginnings, because it is quite clear that this whole period, which was pretty difficult and is still pretty difficult for everybody, but we had to learn a lot. And what we have to learn is also to live in a new era where our personal enthusiasm counts more than anything else. We are hearing around us a lot back to basics, but we also have understood that back to basics means, for a big part, back to the basics and the basic skill and values of the industry, not as a minimal proposition, but far more as something which is really telling the value of our beautiful lingerie industry. Let's not forget, when we started this confinement, this lockdown, this pandemic, we already were dealing with a very, very militant consumer who was asking for empowering, he was asking for diversity, who was asking for more sustainability. And all those elements are, instead of being something for the past, are now actually even more important. We are especially interested in what other people, of course, think, and that is the first element I would like to share with you, because the colors are the result of a consultation with a group of stylists and bureau de style styling services, and we came to a fantastic color card. I think it's one of the best color cards we ever did together, because everybody is very serious at the moment. We want to do our utmost best. The color card presented, of course, like before, but we also decided to give a double story to the color card. On the vertical, you see the color families, very important in all the color propositions. For instance, the greens, which are going forward. A very big role for blue. Blue is really a thing that is coming up. Purples, yesterday I did some shopping in Paris, and you see purple everywhere, also in interior design. Fantastic development of these purples. Spicy, a lot of these oranges, ochres, these very warm colors, and then of course the pinks, which can't be missed, and are especially important for of course for very young, sexy lingerie. There's a lot of frill coming up. Then we divided them in the color stories on the vertical, and then you have on the horizontal, you have the color moods. The first one, the essentials, of course, a lot of white, a big role for pastels, and then all these colors, all those different, the pastels, the twilights, very active color. See them as interesting possibilities also to mix. And basically, what is so fantastic about this color card, that each different color goes up with the other, which is fantastic. For beachwear prints, it is a beautiful result of for the first time, of a completely digital consultation. We were in it together, but on distance. The essentials are very, very interesting, of course, when you look at all those slightly colored whites, beautiful combinations here as well for embroidery, fantastic for soft laces, fantastic as alternative skin colors as well. The pastels are breathing optimism, pleasure, the need for vitality, the need also for beauty. Um, their family very close together. You can use them as camailleux, as tonal contrast, but also in contrast here. And that is very well illustrated with those beautiful little napkins there, where the stitching effect or the piping, the accessories, just a little bit of bright color, these twilight color. Very interesting, the active group, where we go for very bright colors. You have all probably noticed that there's a lot of interest at the moment for the typical 70s and 80s sport brands like Fila, making a strong comeback for blocking, very interesting. But there is also, of course, a lot of color prints. We see a strong comeback of Kenzo. I come back to that later. And then an element of art. Modern art is also, and street art is also a very important development. Very chic, incredibly interesting as well for embroiderers, which we believe they make an enormous comeback, because we really need to see that knowledge, that skill, that the beauty of everything that gives us a very, very good feeling of enjoyment. We have 6 themes, like always. We are starting with innovative essentials, where we of course talking a lot here about the sustaining and of a lasting change of consciousness. Of course, there is still a lot to do in the lingerie world. We are talking also about a new webinar you absolutely shouldn't miss. The question in the previous webinar, when we had a bra talk webinar, was from our guest was, is it possible to make a completely classic, not just a crop top, a classic sustainable bra. So we're gonna discuss that with specialists, and that's a webinar you absolutely, if you're on the bra business, shouldn't miss. Sustainability is an important message. It is not only the material, of course. It has a lot to do with wearability, with the durability of garments. We see in general, and we feel in general, there's a tendency to better quality, a little bit more upmarket. Of course, the biggest worry of all of us were all those articles, even in the New York Times, or we had a big article as well in The Guardian, talking about how women with a lot of pleasure during lockdown took their bras off and found that braless was actually such a freedom, such a comfort. That makes us not happy, but it gives us also a very clear idea that all those elements which we talked in the past, like inclusivity, and especially in relationship to comfort. Bestsellers during the lockdown, funny enough, are basics, if you can call it basics, like these fantastic special edition Birkenstocks, or also a best-selling this very simple but beautiful designed opaque outfit. We have seen the majority of us is a comfort creature, but during the lockdown, something quite interesting started to happen. At the beginning, we were all in jogging pants, and the more our working at home continued, and we stayed at home, the more we started to look also to be more beautiful, to look at more interesting shapes and feeling and color. We are seeing that the legging is busy to become a major partner for a bra. Sport bras, very sporty, especially in the collections of the real leaders of the market, Nike, Lululemon, and Adidas. But also moving up market, the legging with here in a beautiful range from we wore what? Absolutely, look at their Instagram page, a fantastic success here, a legging which is very, very functional. Functionality and quality is hitting all markets. And one of the elements which we have seen very, very strongly after the miserable riots, of course, in America, but also the idea of skin tone. Our skin is an incredibly important organ for us, but was also during lockdown incredible neglected. We couldn't touch each other. We started to see an enormous success of beauty brands, and we see more and more also that this idea of skin tones, that the idea of looking after your skin is important in a lot of new fabrications. I'm busy to select as well, and the fabrics for the hybrid form, a form which is really constructed and selected, but then filmed and shared with you online. So you can, the advantage is you can go back as often as you want. Skin tones, and the incredibly important element here, of course, in this collection of skims is this enormous stretchable fabric, which we also see in the big success of course, of Soft Stretch from Chantel. But we believe, and that is very much also illustrated with some of the laces in the forum. We believe also that it's an enormous chance for lace makers to create different colors of the skin. Iluna helped us with dyeing our colors, our skin tones, which I just showed you in the slide before, in a beautiful all over soft lace, and absolutely when you see those laces together, a fantastic offer also as a variant on plain. What we have seen, and that I must then mention the word opaque, the brand Opaque from Germany again. What we see is that obviously the consumer is very, very, very interested in beautiful make. That is where we talk basics, but basics in the way that we in the bra industry are capable to create, but also to stitching details. It's not only seam free that is selling. Then we saw, of course, this enormous success of loungewear, everything that you can wear in-house, which also gives you a possibility to step out of the door to buy some bread. And apart from all the leggings and all the sporty items, there's an enormous success of shirts, big shirts, shirt types, and we see then as well that there are crossovers with other cultures. These on the back there, that picture, these are tops, original tops from Korea, sold with a lot of success by Dosa in America. We see that also that during the last couple of months, there has become a real focus on of course, of recycling of nylon, polyester, and elastomere, but especially a focus on cellulosics. So we see vegan silks, we see especially interesting developments with Tensor Luxe, a beautiful luxury feel for knits and for wovens. One of our biggest surprises at the moment, also in the selection, is Turkish company Sanko. If you want beautiful knits, it's a absolute. Truly incredible what they did with the softness, beautiful, almost like caviar for the skin. It's really fantastic. The next group is really a glorification of lingerie skill, and you must have noticed all over the world there is again a look back to really, I don't want to call it retro, but to the really beautiful old-fashioned laces, broderie anglaise. It is almost, there is also a link, of course, here with that enormous love for nature, for the cleanness of nature, for the meadow with all those meadow flowers. And here I must say to all lace people and embroidery people, go in your archives, because the most beautiful examples are for a big part to be found in the archives, and then of course remade with the softness of today. We need eye candy. We don't need only simple things. I call that the lipstick effect. It's when you are a little bit down, only small purchase. And lingerie in certain compared with a lot of fashion is actually quite cheap to give you a real lift. Garden fantasies all over, very, very beautiful collections we feel we have coming from a couple of embroiderers. I saw embroidered silk from, for instance, from Levaux. I saw the most beautiful broderie anglaises from various sources, and especially very, very strong, of course, in the collection of the Indonesian company Kevalram, beautiful for this new look of multi-wear sleepwear. As I told you at the beginning, in our families, in color families, green is really one of the loves of everybody. And there's a lot of green, of course, in relation with nature, in relation with natural yarns, but also as a novel way of creating layered effects with green. Beautiful example here in this very lovely sleepwear idea, which of course, like most of the successful sleepwear and those we call them barn dresses, but it's a little bit like Little House in the Prairie, but very, very, very ideal shapes, suitable for a lot of people. And there's a sort of homely country life with those beautiful jacquards as well, which we have seen in kitchen linens and tea towels. And then we look here as well at handkerchiefs. On flea markets, you can find the most fantastic old handkerchiefs. Some are printed, some are embroidered. Just a little touch of red on white, quite a mood lifter without breaking the bank. Traditional cotton night dresses are back, but are they really to wear in bed? We don't think so. The consumer is rather creative in covering how you can wear garments in multiple ways. This versatility also goes to underwear. This is a garment from the Henro archives. There is a clear comeback of rib knits, beautiful little undervests, little garments you can also use for translation in modern seam-free, because not only body width seam-free, but Santoni seam-free in natural materials also makes a comeback. Here is a good example of those garments. These garments go, you could see them as nightwear, but on the other hand, they go on a jeans, they go over a beachwear. They are really, really interesting to enlarge the functionality, also the versatility of the lingerie and of the beachwear offer. This idea of of casualness, the idea of wearing your garments differently, is slowly but surely arriving in also in lingerie, and it would be a very good idea to study what you can do also in a shop offer, how far you can go. Here we are incredibly inspired by one designer, Jacques Mus, from the south of France, who is using those slightly aged or slightly bleached bright colors, very, very interesting as well, to find those colors in natural dye stuffs which are ideal as well for a tie-dye, because a lot of those natural dye stuffs are difficult to achieve completely clean, plain fabrics in colorations. Then, of course, all those leggings are not only just a sport item. They are part of a wardrobe which contains more and more of some basic items. And this here again, we talk again about this hybridization, but also a consumer who has during lockdown discovered that what you can do with things that are already hanging in her wardrobe. A very interesting illustration of a day in lockdown, from sports to behind a computer, and at the end of the day with a glass and enjoying. We have learned, I think most of us, especially when you had the luxury of a little bit of space around you, we have learned the luxury of quietness as well. But on the other hand, we are incredibly interested in pleasures. You have seen that the moment we could, everybody was on the beach. Fantastic illustration as well is how important families have become. Around me here in France, for instance, my neighbors I have never seen them playing so much with their children as during lockdown. This idea of cheerful, this idea of pleasures without any complication is also an important taste development. Creating versatility is of course is a real art to learn, because only certain colors can be versatile, and that is also what is the great development of this color card I showed you. All those colors are as well good for lingerie, but they're also very good for swimwear. And here is now a good example of wardrobe pieces which are multiple in end use. We started from the collections from Sophie Letta and said, okay, a lot of those fabrics are equally interested for beach as for lingerie. Also beautiful examples of transparent fabrics, very functional, very easy to wear as active wear or overactive wear as homeware. A fantastic new development of this wardrobe. And needs to be illustrated in cross-merchandising. Cross-merchandising is a word, but especially cross-selling, where perhaps a very, very interesting printed legging brings somebody to your collection, and then you can interest them with a matching bra. We are saying that at the moment, perhaps the legging is a more important element in our wardrobe than ever before, and could also be used to activate sales, which is quite important. So it's called cross-selling or cross-merchandising. Everybody in the world is also constantly asking me, how do you sell that in a lingerie shop or with a lingerie assortment? These are problems really we have to solve, because all this wardrobe development very much based on multiple wear, of the cross between loungewear, beachwear, and lingerie is here to stay certainly for a couple of years. And I think it is just the beginning of a different place in the market of lingerie. That is worth certainly a lot of development, also a lot of development in the way selection of fabrics is done, how you develop prints. If prints are only in the gym is different than a print which you also want to show off with all the garments. We see this whole development of street art in old young collections, especially in the collections of young designers who just show their graduate collection. They are very much into this hand painted, hand printed, patchworking of idea, reusing, putting things together, a complete reflection of their worries about the future. This is a good example of these developments. We see a lot of this happening at the moment, and certainly people who have been in the sport market in the 80s remember brands like Jet Set. We had an enormous amount of very fantastic ski brands. All of them are making it comeback, especially Jet Set. So that is very interesting. Also a development of bright colored and for a big part also slightly retro developments, which you see here as well in the knitwear, patterned knits, lots of jacquard we see, open knits as well. Very strong developments here of those knit patterns, which are typical 50s and 60s. We found them in all old pattern books. If you are a knitter, go to those flea markets and look for old fashion books. It's quite interesting to see what you can do. Then in the next group, we are interested in color and smell. And color and smell, of course, have been enormously important part of our feeling of comfort, of well-being, of wellness, not only things to buy, but things to make yourself. We have seen never before in our life people baking. This morning I opened LinkedIn and I saw Bill Gates in a video baking a cake for Warren Buffett, who was 90 today. So the idea of showing your more human face is also a big trend. Human elements, of course, are very important in the development and the interest in craft. We are seeing all kinds of books, all kinds of typical TED talks about how important it is for our brain to be also active with our hands. So, guys, all back also creatively involved and not only a completely digital behind your computer in 3D developments, which are important as well. Spicy escapes, here a combination of different patterns which are very illustrating this Silk Road, this fantastic cultures from the Middle East until China, a mix of everything, very important to find inspiration there. It's not at all, absolutely don't take this as an ethnic trend. It is translated. We have seen beautiful examples of graphic patterns at the moment, which are obvious, very much inspired by elements which are coming from tribal art, beautiful ways, for instance, in the collection of the West. Working with these colors together is something quite interesting, because by mixing different browns together, one could create an embroidery or a lace which fits every skin tone. So instead of having all these colors separately, it's also interesting to play around. Like here, this is also important to realize everything is connected. At the same time that we are busy with our hands and in our kitchens and take on crocheting and knitting, the pâtissier of the Ritz Hotel is getting very, very creative in his decoration of his little tarts, which are a pleasure for the eyes and obviously very, very inspired by organic, with their organic forms. A fantastic amount of inspiration here. Again, there is Doza, who are really using their leftover fabrics, their cut-offs, and make fantastic new fabrics out of it. Then we have laces, of course, interesting with new textures inspired also by hand woven baskets. And there in the middle, you see a pair of shoes. And that is so fantastic. So every time when we are in trouble, the human mind becomes very creative. And these shoes there, these sandals, are real sandals during the Second World War, made out of straw and wood. And one could say they are a pair of Prada, but there is one thing you have to realize, and you see that as well with those shoes. Even in the most sad and difficult circumstances, we want to decorate ourselves. We like to make ourselves more beautiful. It's in us. It's especially in women. We are not going to suddenly, because of a difficult time, all in minimalist, uninteresting garments. We look a lot at nature, and especially all those beautiful new forms. Here we did a lot of research as well and also in what could we expect from embroiderers other than what they are best of, being super creative. Creativity is something, and that is very dear to my heart, and I will show you why. There are two movements. There's a movement absolutely to get rid of everything. There was during lockdown an enormous trend to clean up your house and throw a lot of things away. But that is stuff. But on the other hand, there's also a trend to surround yourself with beautiful things that do something for the mind. And we call those women collectors. And it's not so difficult to imagine that this is a group which are very often a little bit older. We talk about the baby boomers here, which have been forgotten for a very long time. I'm being part of a webinar in 2 days with a group of people from all over the world to talk about this forgotten target group, because those women in general have an enormous experience already with color. Now, so here I am, beautiful kimonos, beautiful garments, a little lace which must be 10 years old, just with a legging and a fantastic new body, a whole wardrobe. This idea of keeping your garments, especially keeping what you have, is very strong in that group. Good example here, Yosi Natori, who is modeling her own garments, who told me also in one of the most pleasant webinar with her and Rebecca Moses, where that idea of a pyjama for Yosi Natori is not just a pyjama. It's for her, it's a work of art. The colors are not influenced by the traditions of what you wear in the bedroom. They are part of her mindset, and all those garments are equally interesting to wear next to the swimming pool, together with leggings, and even kimonos together with a jeans. Here we are also very much, and we see a lot of art coming towards it, inspired by Matisse. Matisse, a fantastic ongoing inspiration for beautiful print designs. Here again, an element of deluxe bohemian style, which is always surround us, which is always incredibly interesting as well. When you look at collections, for instance, of Dries van Noten, there's always, and people who know me well know that I'm very fond of Dries van Noten, because I still wear garments who are 15 years old from him. It's that idea of a sort of beauty that lasts. A beautiful embroidered bra with the most fantastic example of skill, of functionality. We see that there is at last an enormous amount of fine stretch grounds now in embroidery. It certainly is a way to illustrate beauty. The flower, of course, stays with us. It's always a major element in lingerie. This season, everybody's favorite flower certainly is the iris. It has something like all the paintings of Georgia O'Keeffe, something very erotic. It's that beautiful way that the colors are moving, the lightness of the edges. Very important here for print designs, and of course for all embroideries and laces. We love suddenly to see in this collection lush color combinations which are always have to be measured against one element. Can I wear it out as well? It's not only for inside. It's a typical the type of merchandise which shouts, of course, versatility, multi-wearability, a fantastic way also to look at the next theme number 6. In the gallery is where we look at art. Has played an enormous important role for a lot of people during this whole period of being at home. They visited museums, they started to make art themselves, they were very active. Art, but not only as a print design, art in a very important way as well to decorate the body. We are incredibly enthusiastic about Arie van Twillert, a Dutch designer. There, the body on the top right, where she was inspired by something quite astonishing: the water levels of Amsterdam. Inspired her to this magnificent embroidery, but also on the left hand side, art in a geometric, almost in an architectural way to decorate the body. You see then especially that young designers are very active, and then the enormous success, and I mentioned that already, of geometric design with slight links of culture mixes, where you see that the inspiration is coming from somewhere, but then restyled. And this is, of course, an enormous interesting way of looking at this fantastic amount of technology which is coming towards us, especially technology in knitting. We talk about body mapping, engineering of strength, of support is one of the most important developments going forward. I talked with people from Wacol and people from Triumph. Everybody is looking, how can we make garments which are like the sort of sheep with 5 legs, beautiful to look and simple and comfortable to wear. Especially there is, of course, that whole size dilemma, and a lot of those new developments are also to create garments which are more flexible from a size point of view. Art to wear. Art has helped us to survive isolation. I like this text very much. It's manna for the soul. It's something to look at. We see happening already a lot of these painterly design, a lot of patchwork design, hand painted ideas. I was at Merci a couple of hours ago, actually, and there I saw something quite amazing. Their whole shop was focused on small companies, productions of ceramics, productions of garments, productions of even bedding, hand woven ideas, everything that is authentic and that makes us closer to other people who make it is important. Look at this. There, and from Jill Sander in the middle is an embroidery made by Forsterone, quite amazing. It immediately made me thinking of this beautiful cabinet from Elisabeth Garoust, a very famous name also in the 80s, making a fantastic comeback. Gallery in London, no, in New York. The Pucci Gallery is having an exhibition at the moment of that, so go and have a look. Here we also decorated a kimono with it, with band embroidery. Band embroidery is an interesting way also as to embroider. This also this sort of chain stitch. We saw dresses with chain stitch embroidery also at COS at the moment, a way to decorate different, where inspiration very often comes from abstract art. We say from Africa to Memphis, there are no cultural boundaries for graphical art. Creativity can be boosted. This can be used for jacquards, for all kinds of different ways to decorate. It is especially important with an eye on this growing and for some people booming athleisure market, because that market is really not slowing down at all. This is another look, not only a decoration of the surface, but by combining different colors in the silhouette, playing around as if you were Mondrian with a silhouette where the woman can create her own artworks the way she wears her garment. Knit engineering, as I told you before, is the hottest thing. We are incredibly impressed by some of the technicians. Of course, responsible for all those knitting machines and lace machines, Rocheltronics, the Jacquardtronics. Karl Mayer is of course a name that comes to mind, very important. But what is also incredibly important is when you look at Noyon Lanka, that's a Jacquardtronic. So these engineers themselves found a way to do this body mapping. Quite amazing. So knit engineering for decoration, to have zone strength and support for a very important way to go forward. And then the last slide here. Don't see sport as only something for active. Sport has an enormous influence also on most of the young designers. It is one of the tastes of sexy. I always say sexy is multilingual. It is not one type of boudoir sexy. This is also what you see from young designers, and in that prototype which we made together with Clover in Hong Kong and Iluna Lace, where there are all the techniques of the moment are in that prototype. It's laminated. It is laser cut. It is completely in the line of where modern technology is going. Nice to see, and very technical and comfortable. And then I have to mention that little piece of letter tape from Bischoff Textile, Bischoff Gamma, absolutely totally fantastic. And going forward is messages. We have seen that as well from some young designers, messages that are positive, that gives you also a link with the designer and with with the purpose of the garment. I am hoping that you enjoy this, that it gave you some ideas, because after all, we picked up what we discussed with other people who are all united behind Interfilière, a whole consultation of very, very creative people, and handing it over to you. Be creative and forget preconceived ideas. Just think, look, and look around you, because as I said before, everything is connected. Thank you very much.